Servant is a new series on Apple TV Plus created by Tony Bascallop and executive produced by M Night Shyamalan, one of my favorite filmmakers. And basically what this show is about is this couple who just recently lost their newborn child, Dorothy and Sean Turner. So as a way to cope with this traumatic event, Dorothy's therapist tells them to bring a lifelike baby doll into their house as a form of object therapy. So they do that, but now the mother is treating this doll as if it's a real child. So she hires a nanny to watch over it while it's in their home. But when a lot of strange things start happening in their home regarding this doll, Sean tries to get to the bottom of what's really going on. Season 1 of this show's been out for a little over a year now, and I slept on it. I never watched it when it came out, largely because I didn't feel like Apple TV Plus was worth having. There's not a lot on there. But once I started hearing a lot of really good things about this show, and with the fact that Season 2 was on the way, I figured I'd give it a try. Also, I love M Night Shyamalan. I'm a big fan of a lot of his films. And I'm really glad that I finally jumped on board to this show, because Servant Season 1 is great. Probably the biggest draw for me with this show was Shyamalan's involvement, but he's actually not the main creative lead on the show. That's more Tony Bascallop. That being said, this still feels very much like an M Night Shyamalan thing. It's very creepy and kind of claustrophobic because it really only takes place in this one location throughout the entirety of the show. And it also has some religious stuff in it and some supernatural elements to it. But a big part of why I love this series is just how character-driven it is. Tony Bascallop does an amazing job of showing you this couple who just experienced this really traumatic event and how their grief and pain over the situation is affecting their relationship and their day-to-day lives. And a big part of why it works so well is because of the amazing performances. Lauren Ambrose is terrific in this show. She's the kind of character where at first you think she's a little bit insane because she does some things that are questionable, to say the least. But as the show goes on and you get to learn more about her, you begin to understand her and you get why she thinks that what she's doing is right. She also really nails the personality of this character. She's a news reporter who has this built-up celebrity status around where she lives, and she has this massive ego, and whenever she talks to someone in this show, even her husband, it feels like she's acting like she's on camera or she's being interviewed all the time. So I thought Lauren Ambrose did a really good job at pulling off this character. Toby Kebbell is great here as well. He's caught in this very weird position where he wants to protect his wife and keep his marriage intact as much as he can, but he also just wants to know what the hell's going on in his house, and when all these weird things start to happen, he just wants answers. And so it's really interesting to watch him find a balance between those two things. And early on in the show, he recruits some outside help in the form of his brother-in-law, played by my man Ron Weasley. Rupert Grint shows up in this series, and he's amazing. It was a little weird at first to see him using an American accent, because I'm so used to seeing Rupert Grint be like, "Bloody hell, Harry." That was my awful Ron Weasley impression. You're welcome. But as the show went on, I got pretty used to it, and he vanished into this character. He's really close with Toby Kebbell's character, so he'll often invite him over just to hang out and talk about stuff. And he's also coming over to drink their wine too, because he's kind of an alcoholic. But they have really good chemistry together, and he becomes really invested in what's going on in this house to a point where he'll pretty much do anything for answers. And just to watch him be consumed by this thing is absolutely enthralling. In particular, episode 8 is where you get the best Rupert Grint acting. There's this scene where he's running around the house hitting a pan, and it's just amazing. I don't want to give anything away more than that, but you'll know when you see it. Another great performance in the show comes from Nell Tiger-Free, who plays the nanny. At first, you don't really know what to think of her, and you're really suspicious of what she's doing, but as the show goes on, and you begin to peel back the layers of her character, you kind of understand why she's doing what she's doing. And you honestly begin to sympathize with her and care about her in a way that you didn't when the show starts off. So that's a big thing with this show. It takes a while to really peel back the layers and understand what's truly going on. And if you're someone who likes to know everything right from the get-go and just have all the exposition, all the details right at the beginning, that might bug you. But for me, I thought it was one of this show's strengths. I love when a show like this takes its time to explain what's really going on and how it can trust its audience to just go along for the ride with them. And part of what's great about the show is that it has such an intriguing mystery, but everything's not just given to you in like 1 or 2 scenes right at the beginning. It builds up over time throughout the season. and that makes it so interesting to watch the mystery unfold. So I really enjoy what this show did with its story. And the show has beautiful cinematography. This is the same DP that Shyamalan worked with on Split, and that could not have been a better choice because every single episode of this show looks gorgeous. Most scenes are really dark, but they do some really interesting things with the lighting to give it this unsettling, creepy vibe. Also, the camera work has this very hypnotic vibe to it. There's a lot of symmetrical shots throughout the show, or shots that will just stay on one frame for a really long time. And also, there's a lot of close-ups on the actors' faces that I found really effective. So it's a gorgeous looking show with some really stunning visuals. The show also has a lot of really cool shots of food. Toby Kebbell's character is a chef who makes a lot of really exotic dishes. Some of them are really disgusting. At one point he makes lobster ice cream, and there's another scene where for the dish he needs an eel, so he like brutally murders this eel by hitting its head on a counter a lot, and then he peels its skin off, so it's a lot of really disgusting, gross stuff. But those sequences in particular I thought were really well shot. Specifically looking at the episodes that M Night Shyamalan directed in this season, the season premiere I thought was great. I thought it did a really good job of establishing the world and the characters that we're going to be following throughout the season. And the finale really made me want to watch the rest of the show. I was very intrigued. But episode 9 that he also directed is probably my favorite one of the season. There's a lot of really amazing camera work in this one, and a revelation that occurs that really recontextualizes everything you've seen up until that point. Also, mind-blowing acting from Lauren Ambrose. This episode in particular is probably her best performance in the show. I loved Servant Season 1. I had a lot of questions after the first episode, but I became really invested in this story and watching the mystery unfold. It has terrific performances all across the board from all of the main actors, gorgeous cinematography. I love the atmosphere and just how unsettling it all was. And it's a very unpredictable show. There's a lot of things that are left unexplained by the end of the season, which I'm assuming will be explored in season 2, but I genuinely have no idea where it's going to go. But I'm so excited to see what they do with it in the future, and this is probably one of the better new shows that I've seen in a while. I'm going to give Servant Season 1 an 8 out of 10. If you do have Apple TV+, I highly recommend checking out this show. Probably one of the better things on that platform as of right now. If you like M Night Shyamalan stuff, or just really good thrillers in general, I can almost guarantee that you will not have a bad time with it. So guys, those are my thoughts on Servant Season 1. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm really glad I finally got around to talking about this show. Stay tuned for my review of Servant Season 2. I have not started it yet, but I can't wait to. Also be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.